What's up, everybody? So this is coming from a guy that used to watch a lot of red pill content, but you know what? I started to actually sit and think for myself. So I do consider myself a feminist. So here's my thing. I do think women should absolutely have the opportunity to at least try with jobs, with fields, with professions. But if they can't meet the standard, then the same rules should apply.
And he doesn't understand why equity is important, because he's saying that all things should be like women should just get a shot at the same jobs. Equity would say the same way y'all made tools for men, because all these tools are made for men and the physiological makeup for men. That way men have advantages in all of these fields. You need to do the same thing for women.
That brings me to the bad side of feminism. Whenever I tell people I am a feminist, right? They're usually thinking of like a feminazi, right? To me, a feminazi is somebody who says men are trash, fathers aren't a need, men aren't needed, the world would be better without men. That's not empowerment, it's just reverse sex.
Most men ain't shit. That's not hateful to me. That's a reality. It's a reality check. I came across this video and I found it to be interesting because for a few reasons. A, the age of the person, the gender, obviously, and what they were saying, what their approach. And what I normally do when I come across content like this, if you guys don't know, I normally I go pretty hard on men. I'm pretty hard on men. Don't get me wrong. I know I am. But they deserve it. We deserve it and we need it. So I don't believe in handling men with kid gloves or coddling men or I don't think that I need to make my message more palatable for men because um, that takes more energy for me to do, and I don't believe it would go over any better. I truly don't believe it really matters how I deliver it. Um, I could even make an argument that my delivery gets me in front of more men and it shakes more men up, to be honest with you. From what I know about men. I could be wrong. If somebody, wants to argue, that with me in the comments or whatever, then by all means do so. But my approach, my brashness, my me being so confrontational, uh, me being blunt, you know, I think that those are all things that help me when I have these discussions with men because men really lack abstract thought for the most part, like especially when it pertains to gendered issues. Maybe in other aspects of life, men can be more abstract, but when it comes to gendered issues, men are not very abstract in our thought processes. Being too wordy, being too whatever, it could lead you astray, right? Being direct, being like men are dumb, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever it is, like they hear that type of stuff, it does wake them up and it gets their attention, I should say, and then you can maybe have the conversation. With all that being said, I normally when I hear videos like this, I normally attack. I'm gonna try not to this time, but I do think this conversation needs to be had. This is a young man. This is a young man, so I don't want to turn him off. But he also needs to hear this. He needs to hear this message.
What's up, everybody? So this is coming from a guy that used to watch a lot of red pill content, but you know what? I started to actually sit and think for myself. So I do consider myself a feminist, and I think a lot of you guys will at the end of this video if you finish it. I don't think of myself as a feminist in the watered down internet sense where people try to use that label as a personality or as an excuse to hate men. I'm a feminist in the literal meaning of the word, somebody who just believes in equal opportunity, equal human value. To me, feminism is good because it expanded access, women having bank accounts, voting rights, education, property, careers. And those weren't just like gifts, those were fought for. And I don't think supporting that is controversial. It's based.
That right there, very good. Like what he's saying, like I was like, okay, that's good to using feminism to hate men. It's not feminism. Just FYI, as soon as you start hating men, it's no longer feminism, it's something else. Right? Just FYI. But that what he said, that is exactly why feminism makes a lot of sense. Right. I mean, it like he put in the top says feminism can be for everybody if done correctly. I don't know how you can do feminism incorrectly per se, but I would be interested.
basic human right. Now, people might say, well, let's look at cases where it failed, and I'm going to get to that in a second, right? Here's where people misunderstand what feminism is supposed to be. It's equal opportunity. It's not forced equal outcomes. I'll admit, because I'm a realist, before I'm a feminist, I'm a realist. Not everybody is built for every single job. And
It's about equity, not equality. I mean, you can only truly achieve equality through equity, right?
doesn't have anything to do with sexism. It has everything to do with meritocracy. If you have two men standing side by side, and one is like my height, like 6'3.5", maybe 210 pounds, he's gonna be able to lift heavy objects, heavy equipment, a lot easier than the other guy who's like maybe 5'6" and like 115 pounds, right? The bigger guy is probably gonna be suited for certain physical tasks. It's not discrimination, it's a physical, biological reality. That same logic is going to typically apply to a woman, right? If she's 5'2" and 115 pounds, she's not going to outperform a large, physically strong man in heavy manual labor, right? It's
The problem with this logic is in our country, you're not supposed to lift over 40 pounds. Like OSHA says, don't lift over 40 pounds, 40 or 50 pounds on the job. And most men and women can lift 40 and 50 pounds. Just FYI. Secondly, men can't do physically rigorous jobs either. Like most men can't do those jobs. That's why we have tools. That's why we have machines. If men can do them, we never would have invented a machine for it. Just to put that out there.
not misogyny, that's just biology. And biology doesn't care about politics, right? And I think most feminists, assuming they understand what it means, they know that, a guy would be suited better for that job, like if he's qualified, if he has the meritocracy. So here's my thing. I do think women should absolutely have the opportunity to at least try with jobs, with fields, with professions. But if they can't meet the standard, then the same rules should apply to them like it would to a white person, black person, like whatever. Like if people want to go the discrimination route, if you can't do the job, you just can't do the job, right? So I believe in equal opportunity, but that also means equal accountability. It doesn't mean bending standards just to try to protect women's feelings, right? But I also believe in female independence. I believe women should have their own money if they want, have their own bank accounts, their own autonomy. I think
And he doesn't understand why equity is important because he's saying that all things should be like women should just get a shot at the same jobs. Equity would say the same way y'all made tools for men, because all these tools are made for men and the physiological makeup for men. That way, men have advantages in all of these fields. You need to do the same thing for women. You need to make stuff to make the jobs easier and more manageable for women. That's equity. Equality is give a woman a shot to work on the same, to do the same job with the equipment that's built for a man. And then when she doesn't do the job as well as a man, blame it on biology and say that she's just not as strong. That's not that's not okay. We need better than that.
women outnumber men, right? So not every woman is going to find a compatible partner. Mathematically, it's impossible for every single woman to have a relationship, right? So I don't think we should live in a world where women are trained to be dependent on somebody else for survival or for stability. I believe in equality, which gives women the access or the ability to exist as individuals, not just accessories to us, right? But I'm also not going to be somebody that blindly defends women no matter what. That's not feminism, that's favoritism. So if a woman is wrong, I'm going to call her out the same way I would call out a man, right? It's not about being a simp. It's not being a woman or always right crusader, somebody who doesn't know how to take the fucking cape off, right? I support fairness, but I don't support selective accountability, right? It's
You as a man belonging to the class of men calling out a woman is almost always going to be viewed and it's going to show up as you punching down. Just FYI. So you shouldn't call out women. You're talking again about equality. You're saying like as a man I should call out both men and women, and I'm telling you that that's not actually equitable because you are by default more than likely going to be punching down in most instances, and that's harmful to women. Even if that woman is in the wrong, you don't need to call her out. Let women call her out. Women call out women all the time. Let women police women. Men don't police women. Women can police men and women. That's equity. Equality would say men can police women and men can police men. But we know what it looks like when men police women. It looks like inequity. It looks like the patriarchy. So men need to stop policing women, focus on policing men, and leave women to women. You don't need to call out women. They got it.
Accountability across the board. So that brings me to the bad side of feminism. Whenever I tell people I am a feminist, right? They're usually
There is no bad side to feminism as an ideology. There is no bad. It's a perfect ideology. It's a perfect ideology. There is nothing bad about it. I'm not being hyperbolic. There's zero bad about feminism. Nothing. It is the equity between the genders. It is about the equity between the genders. There's no way for that to be bad. There's no way. It literally benefits everybody. Literally. It benefits everybody. No way for it to be bad. But let's hear it though.
thinking of like a feminazi, right? To me, a feminazi is somebody who
A feminazi is a slur. You shouldn't use it. It's not. It's a dog whistle. A feminazi, comparing feminism to Nazism in and of itself is wicked work. It's impossible. You can't do it. They don't. Women don't have the structural power to be Nazis on any level. They cannot weaponize feminism. Feminism cannot be weaponized against men. Just so you know. So calling a woman, again, is what I'm talking about punching down. You're feeding in to the system when you do that. You don't need to call out women. Also, because you don't even know what you're talking about, probably. And it sounds like you don't know what you're talking about.
accountability, right? It's accountability across the board. So that brings me to the bad side of feminism. Whenever I tell people I am a feminist, right? They're usually thinking of like a feminazi, right? To me, a feminazi is somebody who says men are trash, fathers aren't in need, men aren't needed, the world would be better without men. That's not empowerment. It's just reverse sexism.
The world would be better without men statistically. It's not reverse sexism. Women, it's like calling a black person racist. How can women be sexist? What structural power do they have to dictate the lives of men, to control the lives of men? Bigotry at best. You can call it. You can say that's being a bigot. Okay, I wouldn't call. I don't like using the word sexism to describe a woman saying men ain't shit. Most men ain't shit. That's not hateful to men. That's a reality. It's a reality check. Fathers aren't needed in the home. Why? Because most fathers are harmful when they're in the home. So fathers aren't needed in the home. It's not to say that fathers can't be better and get to a place to where they are needed, you know what I'm saying, but they're not needed in the home. Sorry to tell you that. It doesn't make a woman a feminazi for pointing this out or for feeling this way. And if a woman is reacting to a system that has been oppressive to her and reacting to the group of people that are upholding that system, and her reflex and her reaction to that is, I hate the people that uphold this system, also okay. It's also okay for them to do that. That's why equality is stupid when you use it in the way that you're using it. It's okay for a woman to hate men because who does that hurt? Nobody. Doesn't hurt the men and it doesn't hurt the women. It actually usually protects the woman. But it hurts men when men hate women, women are hurt and men are hurt a lot of times. But women are hurt and children are hurt.
If our goal is equality, then superiority is on the other side, whether it's female superiority or male superiority. The difference is, right, men and women excel in different areas on average. Obviously, it depends on the person, but just on average, if you're an exception, that's fine, but the exception is not the rule. But I guess I'll name some advantages that men have and then some advantages that women have. So starting with men, obviously we have greater physical strength, higher upper body muscle mass, better spatial reasoning and navigation. We have a higher risk tolerance. We have a quicker reaction time, better heat tolerance and physical endurance under load, stronger protective instincts that comes from like anthropology.
We don't. You just made that up. Where are you getting any of this from? I don't know about more heat resistance. I don't know about that, but the last thing you said, 100% not true. 100% not true. You're being very misogynistic right now. And then you're cosplaying a feminist. And this is why women don't believe male feminists. Because listen to you. Listen to what you're saying.
We have higher mechanical interests and system-oriented thinking. We have a more
Women were the first computers. What are you talking about? We're more interested in mechanical thinking. You're just making up stuff. You're just making shit up.
extreme performance at high pressure decision making.
Women are better at high pressure decision making.
We have higher testosterone, which obviously can boost aggression, which is important in like competition
It's not.
and things like that.
In what competitions? Testosterone doesn't make you more competitive. It makes you more aggressive, not more competitive. You're conflating two different things.
And then with female advantages that they have higher empathy on average, higher emotional intelligence, better verbal communication skills. They're a lot better at multitasking, like doing multiple things. They have better.
Everything he's saying right now about women, I agree with and it's true. But do you hear how the things he's describing for women are standalone, just exponentially better characteristics to have? So if I say women are better than men, he would say, "Oh no, you're beating up on men, and that's that's anti-man or whatever." But the things he is saying objectively are just better overall for society. For society, the shit he was naming, oh, we're bigger, we're stronger, we have more. It was all physical. We have more heat tolerance, and like that shit is goofy. How does that actually help humanity? You see how those two things don't balance out? The thing it's like everything you put on about women. If this is the scale, right? This is men, this is women. Everything you put on the scale for women, it was like, oh, women are more empathetic. Oh, women are better at multitasking. Oh, like you know what I'm saying? It's like the scale is just it's out of whack, brother. Men don't stack up to women, even based on the things you're saying, but you're fighting so hard to not just be like, yeah, women are just better than men right now, and men need to do better. And I need to shut the fuck up and stop trying to like hold women accountable because I could never do it anyway. But let's just focus on men.
Intuition. Typically, I know people are going to say, what about all the single mothers? But that's what the stats say. They do have a better social awareness, better memory for certain details and emotional cues. They do have a better pain tolerance too, thicker dendrites in the spinal cord. They have more of a collaborative and more of a community-oriented problem-solving ability. They have higher impulse control on average. If we look at the crimes, we understand that 100%. Stronger immune response because of the estrogen, and a better ability to like read tone, body language, and like subtle shifts in behavior that a lot of men.
Bro, I'm not even joking. Everything he described, it's a fucking rap. And everything he said was true. For the women, he didn't have to lie. He didn't have to make up shit. He didn't have to say literally everything he said about women scientifically. Yep, he's right. 100% right. The shit he said about men, 90% of it was just made up on the cuff. Shit he just feels like about men. And everything he said about women, again, stand alone. Each issue, if you itemize it, each assessment, good, great, great. The men could be good, depending on how you use it. Depends. I wouldn't necessarily call that good. That's decent.
And might miss. So we each have our strengths, right? And these differences aren't like, oh, one is weaker than the other fundamentally. They're strengths that work best when they're combined. That's why I don't support this new language where people say we don't need men or we don't need women, because it's objectively true. Like if you don't have a husband, you're not gonna like starve to death, or you're not gonna like freaking run out of oxygen or something like that. I know somebody might say you might starve because you ain't gonna make a lot of money, but like come on, like obviously we know we don't objectively need each other, but I think it's a dangerous mind.
Women don't need men because the statement should be, do women need men to be their most successful, most fulfilled, and happiest and healthiest? The answer would be no for all four, right? Flip that question around. Do men need women? Yes, for all four. That's the answer.
Mindset to push that, because you're kind of pushing society towards separatism, right? men and women, they do, according to stats, function the best when they both have each other's best interests at heart and they know how to like live in a cohesive, collaborative, holding each other accountable type of like, relationship. So I think we should hold men accountable for crimes, violence, abuse, wrongdoing. And I think we should also hold women accountable when they're in the wrong too. I think a healthy society, it punishes behavior, not gender. And anyone pushing superiority or supremacy, whether it be male or female, I think you're just contributing to like this unnecessary division and this civil unrest. And like any movement, right? Feminism is going to have its positives and it's going to have its negatives depending on interpretation.
And there you have it, depending on its interpretation, depending on how people use it. But the ideology can't help how people use it. People can bastardize it. People can, distort it and twist it, and exploit it if that's what they choose to do. But the ideology in and of itself is sound, without a doubt, is perfect.
Excuse me. Cars, for example, were a great invention, but millions of people die in auto accidents every year, right? Phones were a great invention, but it brings cyberbullying, addiction, posture problems. Somebody had a stroke because they had bad posture and it cut off blood to their brain and they freaking like died. Like every advancement, it's gonna come with unintended consequences, right? So in terms of feminism, if you point to instances where it doesn't work, that's just a logical consequence of progression with anything that exists on this earth. People have died from drinking water. You know what I mean? So if you want to cherry pick certain aspects to try to destroy the movement because of the negatives, like that's just not how it should work, right? There's no need to throw away the entire ideology just because there were a few instances of it not working, right? The goal should be to find a way to make the ideology better, not to get rid of it. So I think in order to do that, you keep the positive, so opportunity, autonomy, safety, equal rights, and you remove the negatives like superiority, anti-man rhetoric, and ideological extremities, right? So, or extremes. When I say I'm a feminist, I mean I support equality, right? I'm a human rights activist. I support. If you said white lives matter, I would say yes. If you said black lives matter, I would say yes. If you said Native American lives matter, men lives, women lives, I would say yes. It just so happens to be that today I'm talking about one of the.
That man just said, and end scene and cut. We're done with him. A both ways bandit, not even a both ways bandit, a four-way bandit. Said all of that to say nothing. But I don't know, man. It's like you want to give him props and give him credit, but you can't because he's too problematic and he's too weird. I'm done. I'm out. I don't have anything to say after that one. There's nothing else to say. You're done. You lost the plot completely.